Good morning, everyone. Today is January the 3rd, 2018. I want to talk about New Year's resolutions. And ironically, I wanted to talk about Mars. And when I turn on my computer, there's Mars when I turned on Stellarium. And you can see Mars and Jupiter coming into that conjunction. When you have a Mars and Jupiter conjunction, they say it's a time of peace. And actually, you can see that in your hands. When you make the OK symbol, you have your forefinger, Jupiter, and your thumb, Mars, and they touch like they do in the sky. And then you have the three fingers up. I know there's a lot of propaganda about that, saying that's the 666. But it is a time of peace. There have actually been songs written about it from the Vedic that when Mars and Jupiter meet, will bring in the next stage, actually. But that won't happen when it's in Libra. But that is coming, another Mars-Jupiter conjunction in 2020. When everything else is going to go down. But back to New Year's resolution. I've done the video before on resolutions, on the word solution. Let's do it. Make sure we got this in the screen, because I've done solution. But now we need a resolution. We need to do it again. And one of my New Year's resolution is one that it's always been. It's controlling my emotions. I'm born with Mars in my first house. Mars is your actions, and your actions are based on your emotions. And I've already done the solution is the sun and the light of the Shin, which is Aquarius. It's almost sunshine. And to me, there's only one solution. And of course, that's the teachings of Balaam, or the Lamb, the Christ, which is karma, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But we all react and try to harness those emotions. It's like hate. You know, hate is like drinking a poison and thinking that it's going to make the person you hate sick. It's only going to make you sick. And our emotions are much like that, especially when we're dealing with Mars, because it's about action. It's about aggression. It's about war. So Mars is one of the big players. It's masculine. Its metal is iron. And we need to learn to channel these energies. And the big one we really need to learn to channel is Mars. So in this year, that is going to be my resolution for myself. My resolution is to get a grip on Mars. And get a grip on myself, because really when you cannot channel these energies properly, it's like hate. It doesn't affect the other person. It affects you personally. When you're angry, it is your body that is being made sick, not the person you're angry with. When your frequencies and your chakras get off balance. So dealing with Mars and dealing with these emotions is to learn to think before you act instead of react, looking at it from a different way, that hate and anger is like myself taking poison, but it does nothing to solve the problem, and to act in a proper way. So everything can be Mars-Jupiter conjunction, that A-OK. And I really like the Mars-Jupiter conjunction in Aquarius. That's when it's the big A, okay. I kind of clearly see that. And right now, with Venus combust of the Sun, it's important that we take control of our emotions, because our heart is debilitated there. And it's debilitated in ideologies right now. And Saturn is there as well. But to have this Mars-Jupiter conjunction in cardinal air, that would be biblically called the Most High in the sky. And Venus holds that spot. That's her house. But she is today debilitated. And debilitated doesn't necessarily mean null and void, not there at all. It's just she's not in the forefront. When you're dealing with emotions and she's not in play is when things like anger and hate come out. And for myself, that is going to be my New Year's resolution, is to daily remind myself to keep that Mars in check. To learn to channel those energies of the emotions. It's a warlike planet. It's an aggressive planet. It needs to be balanced. With Jupiter there, it's a great balance for Mars. And Jupiter is your ideologies, your beliefs, what you believe. And sometimes our emotions, we will act even against our own beliefs. And it is something we all do. So that is going to be my New Year's resolution, and I thought I would share it with you. As far as 2017 went, to me the biggest event of the past year was the solar eclipse. And it's just the first part of a 7-year cycle till the next eclipse comes in 2024, in April of 2024. And it finishes that cross, that X, that Chris mark that it's going to make across North America. And the center point being Paducah, Kentucky. I think that is something else I need to look more into before this 7 years is over. That's like ground zero there. This year, we have a lot playing out. But the culmination, what we're really getting to, is going to go down in 2019 and 2020, and even into 2021. When Jupiter is going to meet Saturn over here in Sagittarius, and they're both going to do this retrograde dance in Jupiter's house of ideologies, and then in Saturn's house of government in Capricorn. So I'll be focusing a lot on that in the next few months and the next couple of years as we watch all this go down. What else do I want to talk about here? Another thing, I want to make an effort to make new friends. I am literally an antisocial person. I've become that way. The past few years have been very difficult for me. I'm very gun shy where relationships are concerned. They haven't been good to me. I feel like I've got the short end of the stick quite a bit, and in a big way, it's really nobody's fault but my own, because I have not made an effort to make new friends. Because I've had relationships go bad, I'm almost anti-relationship. And I speak that in a male-female, in a personal relationship. Someone you love. I have put that aside in my life. I've done the mother thing, I've done the daughter thing, I've done the wife thing, I've done the career thing, and then my life completely fell apart. And I got pulled in a completely different direction, which led me into astrology. And I'm very grateful for that. And I know I needed that alone time, that separation, so that I could focus on this, instead of focusing on that one person in my life. Being a female, I was always into the servitude thing. A lot of you haven't been with me for a while, so maybe I should back up and punt here, because my name is Levette. And we've gone through the symbols of the alphabet, not just the letters, so I'm very familiar with slavette. That's what I call it. I felt like I was slavette to my mother. In every relationship I've been in, I was the servant. I done absolutely everything, and I had to get rid of this mentality. And that meant walking on my own 2 feet. That's why it's very important for me. I want to remain here on my own, to be able to do this by myself, because there's always been someone there. I can't remember. It's been decades since it was just me, and I didn't even know me. I had lost my identity in that time. You become the mom, you become the wife, you put on whatever hat those around you need you to be. And I was just whatever anybody needed me to be, and I didn't know how to be just me. So I'm learning to do that. And now that I'm accomplishing that, I need to learn to reintegrate myself and to make new friends. And a lot of you have reached out to me and want to talk and want to share and want to make friends. And I'm actually eager to do that. I really am. And so I can't wait till things get a little better for me and I can get a phone and get my ducks in a row. But every time it seems I'm heading in that direction, I'm cut off. I'm decapitated. I'm slowed down. So I have to step back and rethink. Am I really ready for that? What do I need to do to accomplish that? What does Levette need to do to be able to make new friends and relationships without becoming slavette? And I realize I do it to myself. Now, it's like the charts. When I started giving away free charts, I didn't have but 200 subs. So that didn't seem like a big deal. But now on 2 channels where I'm pushing 1,000 subs, I feel like I'm slaved out again. And of course, I've done it to myself. I allowed that. Because really at my core, that's who I am. I've always been the giver. And not to be the opposite of that, the taker. We don't have to do that. There can be a balance. Just like with Mars. There can be a balance. You just have to find that thing that balances it out. Mars is usually balanced out by Venus. In this situation we're looking at here, Mars is going to be balanced out by Jupiter, the great benevolent. And in Venus's house of cardinal air, a very harmonious sign, a very balanced sign. So right now in the heavens is a good time for us to sit back and look at this, on how do we balance things, how do we properly channel these energies from these different planets and their relation to us in our bodies via our chakras. It's like Mercury being retrograde. Literally, when Mercury goes retrograde, our throat chakra goes retrograde. We missay things. We say things backwards. I know a lot of us do that, and you wonder, why do you do that? That slip of the tongue where you literally just say things inverted. And that's happens quite a bit during Mercury retrogrades. So we want to, if you are out of balance and you don't properly channel those energies, it's the same as those planets being in retrograde. Your chakras are spinning the wrong way, and it literally makes your body ill. It makes your body sick. To me, when you talk about the tree of knowledge of good and evil and the tree of life, they are to me one and the same, and you're looking at it. When I done the last video on Revelations, it ends talking about those names who are written in Thalem's Book of Life. And his Book of Life is all about karma, balance, not duality, but equality. It's just a whole new ball game. Well, to get to that point, we have to get rid of the old way of thinking. I've talked a lot about this lately because we do have Saturn, Venus, the Sun, and Mercury's fixing to be back, all in Sagittarius. Pluto is sitting right there. Pluto is that, if you want to call it a chakra, that goes into the subconscious mind. It is when Saturn and Jupiter meet, the door to the Black Lodge opens. That's the subconscious mind. And when it opens, Pluto's in there. And that's exactly what's going to happen in 2020. But we have an opportunity now, in the next 2 years, with Saturn and then Jupiter coming into Sagittarius, with Pluto there, to purge our wrong way of thinking, our wrong way of reacting. We need a resolution to how we deal with ourselves in our life. If we don't change ourselves, the change will be done for us. And that's really up to Saturn. I call it, we can do this the easy way or we can do this the hard way. But we're going to do this. And this is going to go down, especially for those who are observing the heavens. And that doesn't make a difference what astrology you believe in, or even if you don't believe in it. But the observer does affect the experiment. And to me, this great alchemical circle is an experiment, but it has purpose. We've discussed this as well. So, think long and hard about your New Year's resolutions. Take into consideration a lot of what I have said. We are becoming the sons and daughters of God. And as Thalem said, I will no longer call you, this or that, but I'm going to call you friend. And that's where we're all going. That's what all of this is coming to. So it's important to me to keep myself in check, to make new friends. And another thing I'm going to talk about this year is I have predominantly done this from the King James Version, the Protestant Bible. But there's also the original, right? This is a second edition. The original was the Catholic Vulgate. And their rituals and the things they do, especially in the Latin, are very different from what we have been taught in the Anglican Bible. And I'm going to start with what they call the Stations of the Cross. That's very important, going down that Via Dolorosa, the way of the cross. And each station having a point, having a meaning behind it that I think can be beneficial to all of us. As a matter of fact, I think I might move into even some things in the Quran. let me give you a quick example. Let's do this in some Spanish. Excuse me if I don't spell this right. Feliz Navidad. Feliz, they tell us it means happy, or merry, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Feliz Nuevo. It means to feel at ease. You feel ease. You feel ease, so you're happy. You feel ease, so you're merry. If you're not, if that Mars is working against you, if that anger or that hate poison you keep drinking, that gives you dis-ease. You are without ease. So we all need to feliz this year, so that we can be without dis-ease this year. And to me, this is physician, heal thyself. This is how this is done. And to do that, you have to be aware of it. Okay, you have to be aware of it. And my main point with all of this, I want everybody to learn how to do the Bibble Babble. And it's like, what word can I do besides these? You can see through these words. Jupiter. We've done so much on Jupiter. If y'all haven't seen all the videos I've done on Jupiter, if you have not gone through planetary linguistics, you've done a great disservice to yourself, because it is so informational. Jupiter means expansion. We actually get the word Spain from here. España. España is the proper pronunciation of that. And it means expansion. While at the same time, Saturn is contraction. And you have a contract with the Shin, which I've already showed you is Aquarius. And Shin, I know it's crazy, but this word Zion comes from there too. It's the same thing. It has to do with the NS, the NZ, and that's why the Nazis took these symbols, because that's the Nazarene. He's the Nazarene. He's the Nazarene from the French. Here, I'll give you one that doesn't have to do with either one of these. Eskimos. They're called Inuits. It's a tribe. They're the Inuit tribe. Now, when I first saw this word, I didn't see Inuit. I called that capital. So it was, I knew it. I knew it. And it's as simple as changing the vowels from long to short, changing the vowels from A to E, E to I to O, O to U. You can just keep flipping the sounds of the vowels, because it was the vowel to L, our God. That was the oath. When Christ told you, I take no oaths. One about my biggest New Year's resolution is to stop saying this word, because it's incorrect. This word means the son of Jupiter, not the son of Saturn, and it comes from this word, Theseus, which is the son of Zeus, the son of Jupiter. And it was put in there at the Church of Nicaea But if ever such a person lived, I assure you, his name was Thalem, because they called him Rabbi, which means teacher. They spoke Arabic, not Greek, not Latin, and in Arabic it's Thalem. Any of these words, teacher, educator, instructor, guide, that's Thalem. This other word is put there so that your prayers are invalid. They're invalid. They don't work. We've been over that one too. So a big deal for me is to stop saying this name. So I use the Lamb, Thalem, the Christ, the teacher. He's our friend. He said he would call us friend. And he's the one that holds the book of life. And that's what we want to learn, that book of life, to get rid of these contradictions. I'm going to try to see if I can't go through the alphabet. I've given you a lot of the magic, the symbols that are from the magic and not part of the original alphabet. And we'll go from there on that and see how many we can get done. But it's about time that at least I took better control of my emotions. And it's a good time to look at it when Mars is being literally kept in check by Jupiter here. And we can take a look and see that conjunction on the 6th. So we've got 3 days, and of course at the exact same time, Venus being very debilitated at that point, going behind the Sun instead of what you call a Venus transit, where we can see her as that little black dot crosses the Sun. She's going to be behind the Sun. And that's a whole new ball game there. She's hidden. You can't see her. She's just, see what we can do, turn all this off. So we'll be dealing with, luckily, Jupiter's keeping Mars in check. Now Mars is fixing to move into his own house. After Mars leaves Libra, he's coming over here. Let's go see when. Let's pop on him so we know exactly what day. Okay, the 31st. So when Mars hits his own house, Scorpio is a house of mysticism, emotions. It's passionate. It's sensual. Mars is exalted in Capricorn, but he rules this water, this fixed water. He also rules cardinal fire. So a very powerful planet. In this position, he is on that fixed cross, and he's in the left hand of Thalem. It's actually a feminine sign. And that's why you get, instead of the rage from Mars, you get that passion. You get that sensuality. It's a sexual sign. It's a watery sexual sign because Mars is there. And it's a feminine sign, if that makes any sense. It's also a very creative sign, and because of water, it's also a very mystical sign. So, a lot going on there with Mars. I love that he's in check right now. It gives me a chance to not react, to sit back and resolution, to not hate. That, remember, that's drinking poison that only makes me sick. It only makes the person who hates sick. It does nothing to solve your problem. And there are other ways, especially Jupiter, your beliefs, your belief system sitting there in check. Now, my belief system happened to be cardinal air. I believe what's the most high in the sky. So, very appropriate time for me to visit these issues. Because I assure you, we will be tested on it. And I know that. I know that once I start studying something and trying to apply it in my life, it's not very long before I'm going to be tested on it. And how well will I do? And I fail more often than I succeed. But when I fall down, I get back up and I keep doing it again. Giving up is not an option to me. That's like suicide. It's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. But there are things I can do. For my resolution is to get this Mars under control this year. To get my emotions and my actions and keep them in check. Why should I have to wait for Mars to be debilitated in Cancer? Why should I have to wait for Jupiter to keep Mars in check? Why can't lvt keep Mars in check? So, just a little talking about how I feel about it, what my New Year's resolutions are for myself, and giving you something to think about. Moon's going to be in its own house on that day. Very appropriate time too, because Mars will be in Scorpio on Valentine's Day. Let's kick there. Valentine's Day. This is my mother's birthday, Valentine's Day. She didn't want any grandchildren. She has 4 daughters, and all of us got pregnant on Valentine's Day. But ironically enough, when you get pregnant on Valentine's Day, you have a Halloween baby. We all have our firstborn children are all right there around Halloween. 29, 30, 31, just all there that week. So, the Catholic rituals and holidays have their purposes. And we'll get into some of that too as we move through the Catholic liturgy, the Stations of the Cross, the Vulgate itself, and maybe even a little bit of the Quran to show the same but the differences between the three. And how it's still all bibble babble. It's still all encoded astrology. That's the purpose of this. And I think I've about said what I wanted to say. And what I always say is to commit that random act of kindness every opportunity you get. You're moving into the age of karma. Your works will follow you. Therefore, follow those red words and do unto others as you would have them do unto you, so that you can take up your cross and follow him and find yourself written in Thalem's Book of Life, because he is the solution. And so we just need to resolution in the name of Thalem.